Hello, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're not just looking at a simple travel story. No, we're looking at a psychological decoder ring, a step-by-step manual for completely shedding an old identity mapped out across the beautiful cities of Europe. So I invite you to just take a deep breath, slow down, and join me as we decode the truly profound transformation hidden right inside the pages of Meerut to Milan. Okay, let's dive into this. When you first open this book, you won't find standard chapters. Instead, you'll find moments. Why? I want you to gently hold that question in your mind for a second. You see, this isn't just a travelogue about someone hopping on a tourist bus. This is about the architecture of a soul being completely rebuilt from the ground up. These moments we're talking about, they are major milestones. For an Indian daughter from Meerut, steeped in those heavy, traditional expectations of what will society say, well, every single moment required immense courage. These are the exact milestones where a sheltered life is finally left behind, and a new, fiercely independent spirit takes its very first breath. Section 1. The Funeral of the Yes Girl.
Now, what's really interesting about this duality here is the incredible contrast. On one side, we have the sheltered girl from Meerut, bound by traditional expectations, where literally every step outside required an escort, a brother, or a father. And on the other side, you have the free explorer in Paris. Bridging these two vastly different worlds is such a painful yet beautiful struggle.
To really understand this transformation, we have to look at exactly where she started, between the clouds and fears. Picture this. At the Delhi airport, she is practically paralyzed by panic at the immigration counter. She's a protected passenger, literally trembling, pushing her handbag to her husband, just clinging to his hand. But Europe is about to test her. She is about to transition into a woman who faces her ultimate darkness, completely underground. Just listen to those words. The true turning point arrives in moment 13, Wings Over Bones. Aarohi descends deep into the Parisian catacombs. It is heavy in there. It's hypnotic. 6 million Parisians buried in the dark. For a girl who grew up terrified of simple shadows, this descent into the empire of death is the absolute ultimate psychological trial. Her breath just stops. The old fears completely surround her in that cold, damp stone. And this right here is the literal and metaphorical burial of her fear. First, methodically descending 131 dark steps down into the unknown. Second, walking right past the forgotten bones, coming face to face with the fragility of life. And third, the absolutely crucial step, walking out, emerging victorious into the bright Parisian sun. She realizes that death looked right at her, and she survived. That Meerut yes girl is buried in those catacombs so her new wings can finally sprout. Section 2. The Rebirth of the Partner. Just look at how this psychological journey evolves over time. At the Delhi airport, as we saw, she was a terrified passenger. Then, down on the beaches of Nice, feeling the sapphire curve of the sea, she sees women trusting their own bodies in the sun, and she realizes she too is allowed to take up space. Finally, she reaches Paris again, at the Pont Neuf Bridge, entirely ready to claim her equality. So the crucial point is what happens right here at Pont Neuf. On Valentine's week, they don't just lock a padlock on a bridge like typical tourists. They stand back to back, kiss their keys, and throw them straight into the Seine River. In that exact moment, they are no longer a protector and a passenger. They are two explorers reaching the exact same peak together. It's a true partnership, finally, equally owned. And this scene brilliantly illustrates her ultimate liberation. Moment 16, Eiffel Vows Rewritten. After watching the roaring fireworks at night, they return at dawn. As the sun rises, the Eiffel Tower, the Iron Lady, transforms before their eyes. The morning light turns that massive structure into a glowing golden sword. A sword that metaphorically slashes away the heavy chains of those traditional expectations from Meerut. She makes a vow to herself right then and there. Her turn starts now. Section 3. The Legacy of Agency. You know, it's one thing to feel free on a holiday. It's a completely different thing to forge a life with your own two hands. This journey takes us to Florence, Italy, the absolute heart of the Renaissance. Now, the Renaissance wasn't just Italy's historical rebirth of art and imagination. For Aarohi, it perfectly mirrored her own internal awakening. Walking among the masterpieces of Michelangelo, seeing raw human emotion carved into stone, she discovers her own immense personal potential. Her own renaissance had well and truly begun. Which brings us to the flower of freedom. Back in Paris, she decides to do something completely for herself, not out of duty, not for her family. She actively chooses a new path. She faces failure. She quite literally burns her hands in the kitchen, and she rises anew. As you're listening to this, I really want you to ask yourself, what is the path you're afraid to choose? What will it take for you to discover your moment? Because the greatest souvenir she brings back from Europe isn't a cheap magnet or a photograph. It is a physical burn mark right on her hand, the scar of becoming. Years later, when her baby daughter Meerut touches that exact scar, it becomes an anchor, a true legacy. It's physical proof of the blisters, the inevitable failures, and the absolute freedom earned by a woman who learned, finally, to trust her own hands. Section 4. Trust your own wings. The author leaves us with this incredibly powerful note. You rise. The moment. Your heart trusts your own wings. Just let that silence hang for a second. Let that sink in. The sky was literally always yours. The only thing missing was trust. So I want to leave you with this final crucial question. Which moment are you currently living in? Are you still trapped in the panic of the airport dream, or are you finally ready to bake your own flower of freedom? Don't just passively listen to this explainer. You need to experience this transformation for yourself. By grabbing a copy of Meerut to Milan and stepping into its pages today, you aren't just reading Aarohi's story. You're unlocking the exact psychological manual you need to find the moment that sets you free. Thank you so much for joining me on the explainer today. Until next time, keep exploring.